Today, I will be ranking every weapon under the Commando perk on Tripwire's Killing Floor 2 from worst to best in my personal opinion, thanks to self-elected 3832 for the request a while back. Sorry for the wait, let's get right into this. Coming in at the number 10 spot, or the worst spot, it's the AR-15 Varmint Rifle. Really? What'd you expect? It's the starting gun, it's not supposed to be good, it's pretty much useless after wave 3, it's a burst fire weapon with not a ton of ammo, it's weak, just not a good firearm choice, comes in at the bottom. And I would like to add to this list that I used the decreased reload time skill for my weapons, but did experiment around with most of the skills that I unlocked. Up next at number 9, I placed the Sentinel drone. This was really hard to rank as it's really more of a piece of equipment than a weapon, and isn't bad, it's just simply not the equivalent of an actual gun. You can hold 4 in total, you toss it in the air, it shoots nearby Zeds and self-destructs when it's out of ammo, or can be remotely detonated. Okay, sounds good, except for one thing. This is Killing Floor. The drone is stationary. It doesn't follow you around, but stays where you released it. Killing Floor isn't a game where you can camp, so having a stationary drone isn't always that helpful. I guess you could place it in a doorway or something if you had a defend this area objective, and it'd be pretty useful then, sure. But it has a couple other issues, like it can enrage a Scrake before you're really ready to fight it and then you have a problem on your hands. Or if you want to leave one Zed alive so you can get close to the trader before the round ends, the drone might kill the final clot and then you have less time to get to the trader pod. It also threw me off because I'm used to pressing up once on the D-pad to get to my medical syringe, and with the drone I had to remember to press the D-pad twice. And finally, if you're backed into a corner by 2 angry flesh pounds, would you rather have a gun or a sentry drone? Most of you probably said a gun. And again, the sentry drone isn't bad, it just isn't a firearm substitute and thus doesn't hold up to the other items on this list. There is one positive I must add about the Sentinel drone though. When you go to sell the drone weapon, if you have one deployed, he'll actually stick around until his destruction even after you sell the drone. Pretty nice touch there, Tripwire. Moving on to number 8, I place, the SA80L85A2 Bullpup here. It's the cheapest non-starting commando gun, so naturally it's low on this list. While it is light and lightweight, it just doesn't have a lot of firepower or a large magazine, usable until maybe round 6-ish, but I wouldn't use it past that. Not a lot to say about it, moving on. At number 7, I placed the FAMAS Master Key, a burst fire assault rifle with a underbarrel shotgun and a really annoying scope that limits your FOV and has a hefty amount of recoil. It's just not very effective in my opinion, and it has one of the lower shot per shot damages of commando weapons with its primary fire. And I really just don't like its scope. I don't know why Tripwire decided that a FAMAS needed a sniper scope. I prefer having some peripheral vision and not a lot of zoom on my AR sights. So yeah, it's not an awful weapon, but similar to the Bullpup, I'm not sure I'd suggest taking it past round 6 at the latest. Batting up next is the Kalashnikov AK-12 for the number 6 slot, a lightweight automatic assault rifle with decent damage and a pretty high rate of fire, and a scope that doesn't heavily restrict your FOV. It's still not the best gun, one up by several other firearms, but it is one of the better ARs under the Commando perk that can maybe be used till round 7. Coming in hot at number 5, where weapons start to get noticeably better, I place the MKB 42H carbine rifle, or as I call it, the STG-44, because that's what it looks like. I'm going to go ahead and say that the number 4 spot goes to the Scar H because I want to compare these two guns. The MKB has a lower rate of fire and less damage than the SCAR, but has a larger magazine so you don't have to reload as often, and the SCAR has a scope on it that restricts your field of vision, while the MKB has iron sights and just looks cooler. I'd say the MKB can safely be used to wave 8 and kinda to wave 9 if you're a bit more of a risk taker, while the SCAR could probably safely be used until round 9, but is overtaken by the LMGs, which we'll get to soon. And so yeah, number 5 goes to the MKB, and number 4 goes to the SCAR H. My biggest two issues with the SCAR H is really its small magazine and its annoying scope, but it does dish out more pain per shot upon the Zeds, which gives it the edge over the MKB. While making this list, I found the ARs kind of easy to rank as there aren't many major differences between them. Each one pretty much just has more damage and weight than the last one. They all have similar magazine sizes, but are overall on equal footing mobility-wise, and I couldn't really add a ton of commentary about them. And I do know discussing magazine size, there is a skill to increase their size, but I found the increased reload speed to be more helpful for my playstyle. But anyways, moving into the big guns, the 3 LMGs. If the minigun counts as an LMG, I place the minigun at the 3rd slot. As sick as the minigun is, it does have some drawbacks, like a very heavy weight, not a lot of mobility, and it's rather pricey, and also holds a long reload time. It's kinda hard to turn while firing it, and it takes half a second after you pull the trigger to warm up before it actually starts firing, which could be dangerous to the player in a tight spot where half a second could mean the difference between life and death. I think this would be a great weapon for trying to defend an area on multiplayer where one guy can just defend a hallway with this thing and someone has his back, but this isn't really applicable for my solo player self. And it actually has a somewhat low shot per shot damage, but makes up for it with a high rate of fire, boatload of ammo, and large magazine size. I wish I could say it's effective up until a boss round, but the last time I brought this thing to a boss fight, I died because of its immobility and long reload time, so I wouldn't try to take it past wave 10 with that being said. So the minigun made it to my top 3, but not the best of the perk. Up next, I give my second place ribbon to the Stoner 63A LMG. While it has a smaller mag than the minigun with less damage, it's more mobile, it's lighter, less expensive, and has a faster reload, being one-upped only by the MG3 Shredder. The MG3 Shredder is pretty much identical to the Stoner, except it does slightly more damage and holds 25 more reserve ammo, although it costs an extra 500 dosh, but overall, it's the winner of the Commando perk in my opinion, usable all the way up to the boss wave, takes home my first place trophy. Anyways, that's my ranking of every Commando weapon on Killing Floor 2 in my personal opinion, although I do understand how someone could disagree if you prefer lighter assault rifles to LMGs, but I overall found the heavier weapons to be superior overall. But tell me down in the comments if you agree or disagree with my ranking, and why. Thanks for watching. For anyone new here to my channel, I mostly play, review, and discuss zombie and horror games, so feel free to check out some of my other vids if that sounds interesting. Always remember that Jesus loves you all very much. Peace.